I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the movie explosions that felt the most frighteningly accurate to reality. Number 20, The Trinity Test, Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's epic revolves around J. Robert Oppenheimer and his infamous nuclear bomb, and hype for the Trinity sequence was as high as a mushroom cloud. Ultimately, it did not disappoint. Nolan is so dedicated to authenticity that some people thought he would actually detonate a nuclear bomb just for the shot. Thankfully, no, but instead he used a variety of filmmaking techniques, including forced perspective and miniatures, in order to get the desired effect. The result was extraordinary. Seeing and hearing this scene in IMAX truly brought home the unparalleled scale of a nuclear detonation.
It worked.
Number 19, the opening scene, The Divide. A little-known independent film, The Divide contains a bombing sequence that is 1,000 times more convincing than most blockbusters can muster. A number of nuclear bombs hit New York, turning the city into an apocalyptic hellscape. Massive pillars of dust fly through the narrow streets, mushroom clouds rise from the impact zones, and the sky turns a very threatening combination of orange and yellow. The explosions themselves are certainly realistic, but so too is the chaos among the people, and the resulting aftermath. Residents scream and flee as buildings crumble around them. Number 18, Nagasaki, The Wolverine.
That was a B-29, Bob. There's no outrunning what's coming.
The X-Men franchise has done a number of creative things to showcase Wolverine's healing abilities. Having him survive a nuclear bomb, though, is one of the biggest and boldest. Logan is serving time in a Japanese war camp when the US Army drops Fat Man over nearby Nagasaki. Technically, the planes are flying way too low, and the bomb falls too far to the ground. But as for the burst itself, it's an A+.
Run, now!
The initial blinding flash and shockwave is scarily realistic, and the explosion's sense of scale is breathtaking. And that's to say nothing of Wolverine's injuries, which are disturbingly close to what Japanese victims experienced on that fateful morning in 1945.
No, it's not safe.
Number 17, The Attack, The Day After.
Either we fired first and they're gonna try to hit what's left, or they fired first and we just got our missiles out of the ground in time. Either way, we're gonna get hit.
There are a million Cold War thrillers out there, but few are as effective as The Day After. An enormously popular TV movie, it aired on ABC in 1983 and concerns a nuclear war between America and the Soviet Union. In the film's most startling sequence, the United States is hit by numerous atomic bombs, resulting in pure nightmare fuel. So much of this nuclear strike is realistic, including the height at which the bomb goes off and the way devices and vehicles instantly lose power from the EMP. There's also the blinding flash, huge winds, and unearthly orange tint, and total human vaporization. It's all pretty terrifying, but also wonderfully cinematic, especially for a TV movie from the 80s. Number 16, Sarah's Nightmare, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. James Cameron has crafted some of the greatest action sequences in movie history. Top of the list, Terminator 2 contains plenty of fantastic explosions, including the destruction of Cyberdyne, which was done for real to an abandoned office complex in San Jose. But perhaps the most effective scene involves the use of special effects during Sarah's nightmare. She imagines a nuclear bomb hitting Los Angeles in a sequence soaked with realism, including the orange hue and unfortunately the effects on the human body. After Judgment Day came out, Cameron even reportedly received a personal letter from a nuclear laboratory claiming that he had made the most realistic nuke sequence in movie history. Number 15. The cafe explosion, Inception.
We're dreaming?
You're actually in the middle of the workshop right now, sleeping. This is your first lesson in shared dreaming.
While the scene in question is obviously very stylized, the endless explosions are actually quite true to life. Leave it to Christopher Nolan to combine the real with the sublime. Movies often like to add massive fireballs for cinematic flair, but real explosions aren't usually like that, and that's exactly what you see in this sequence. Flames don't shoot in every direction, and there isn't thick black smoke slowly cascading into the sky. Instead, it's just a very quick burst with a huge shockwave that sends debris scattering to the winds. Nolan wanted realism, and he got it, and he still managed to make it one of the most memorable parts of the movie. Number 14. The tanker Mad Max Fury Road.
I'd say the People Eater fuel truck explosion was a big deal.
After an extraordinary amount of build-up, Fury Road ends in spectacular fashion with an epic explosion. Immortan Joe's tanker goes up in a huge bang, with Max swinging in front of it on a pole, always inches away from death. Seeing this on the big screen was blisteringly eye-popping. The movie's practical effects are now the stuff of legend, of course. And to get this shot, the remote-controlled tanker was rigged with explosives and over 1,000 litres of gas, resulting in what George Miller calls a balletic boom.
In movies, we see a lot of explosions, so you kind of got to do something a little different and work off the cliche.
Yes, the explosion was certainly aided by Hollywood magic, but in this case, what you see is what you get. That massive fireball is 100% real. Number 13. Blofeld's base goes boom, Spectre.
Doesn't time fly?
This site in Morocco is an ever-popular filming location, and in 2015, it served as Blofeld's base. We don't spend very long inside the facility, however, as Bond quickly makes his escape and shoots a number of tanks, turning the base into a towering inferno. And what a magnificent inferno it is.
Let's go home.
Incredibly, it's another scene that was filmed practically, using a huge number of explosives and over 8,000 litres of fuel. To date, it is the largest explosion ever filmed for a movie, and while its sheer size is pure Hollywood, it still contains a number of realistic elements, including the thick soot smoke and the jets of fuel that shoot into the air.
It's not over yet.
Number 12. The Boston Marathon bombing, Patriots Day.
There's a boss, Cap! There's a boss! There's Delta 984, we got multiple explosions!
A film that tackles one of the most infamous terror attacks on US soil, Patriots Day depicts the bombing of the Boston Marathon in 2013 and the immediate manhunt for its perpetrators. The movie opens with the bombing itself, which is shown through a combination of real footage and studious recreation. Many of the visuals are completely genuine, using archival footage captured from news, security, and phone cameras. Other shots were recreated at an abandoned Navy airfield in South Weymouth. The results are painfully precise, depicting the explosions as quick but violent bursts of grey smoke.
Get everybody out of the area immediately. I'm on it.
Number 11. The border bombing, Sicario, Day of the Soldado. A grim thriller, this movie concerns the issue of human trafficking at the US-Mexico border. In one of the movie's first scenes, a group of undocumented immigrants are attempting to cross the border, attracting the attention of armed guards. One man gets away and is surrounded by agents, and that's when he activates a bomb. It's a devastatingly effective sequence, and another with the explosion itself depicted as a quick burst that's over within seconds. The immediate shockwave knocks over the soldiers and sends smoke and dust flying through the air. It's over in a flash, but is disturbingly realistic. Number 10. The coffee shop explosion, Children of Men.
Witnesses at the scene say that Diego spat in the face of a fan who asked for an autograph.
If you didn't already know it, Alfonso Cuarón is a seriously skilled director. Children of Men opens with an explosion in a coffee shop, and Cuarón films it with a typically gritty and terrifying flair for authenticity. The camera follows Theo outside the shop, offering a POV glimpse into what is a brutal act of terrorism. As with so many scenes on this list, it's a short burst of smoke and shrapnel, and then it's all over. The small details add something extra here though, like the shrill ringing, the screams, and the sound of tinkling glass. It all combines to create a very personal sense of space, and a close-up glimpse of a very real type of tragedy. Number 9. The hospital goes down, The Dark Knight. In a movie full of iconic scenes, the hospital explosion is easily one of the most famous. While the eruption is obviously very Hollywood, it actually works in the context of the movie, as the Joker presumably set these types of explosives himself. It's breathtakingly obvious that the explosion is real as well. You just can't fake these kinds of visuals. Indeed, in reality, Christopher Nolan actually blew up an abandoned candy factory that had been scheduled for demolition. Well, this certainly is a demolition job. It's also movie making at its most pure, the type of wonder and spectacle that draws millions of excited viewers to the theatre. Number 8. The attack on Camp Chapman, 0 Dark 30.
Is he supposed to limp like that?
Get your hand out of your pocket.
Catherine Bigelow's 0 Dark 30 chronicles the violent hunt for and eventual execution of Osama bin Laden. Achieving an unflinching sense of ultra-realism is key throughout. The film dutifully recreates a number of real events, including the attack on Camp Chapman, which killed 9 targets and injured 6 in 2009. The bombing is dramatically depicted as a very quick and high discharge of black smoke, and the sound design rings unnervingly true with a reverberating cracking noise. It's a sound and visual combo that brings the terrible reality of that day to life.
It was one of the deadliest attacks in CIA history.
Number 7. The Car Bomb, Lethal Weapon 3.
After that, they're gonna say, let's cut the blue wire, which I'm gonna do right now, Raj.
Hey, wait, Riggs, wait!
What?
How can you be so sure?
Oh, it's just a hunch.
The third movie in this legendary series begins with Murtaugh and Riggs being demoted after failing to disarm a car bomb. It sucks for them, but it's great for us because, whoa, that boom is impressive. The explosion takes down an entire office complex, and we watch with wide eyes as the building vertically collapses into a plume of thick smoke. And this was not a miniature either, but a genuine demolition. The ICSI building is actually Orlando City Hall, which had been disused and was scheduled to come down. Warner Brothers paid $500,000 to do it themselves, and the result is movie history.
Bravo.
Number 6. The Napalm Strike, Apocalypse Now. Kilgore loves the smell of napalm in the morning. It's one of cinema's most iconic lines, but its fiery inspiration is really something to behold. What sets this scene apart from others is the sheer scale of the explosion. We get a firm sense of just how massive these bursts can be, with the camera stationed what seems like miles away and capturing both the length and verticality of the fire. The filmmakers used an enormous amount of fuel, which had been strategically placed in the jungle to capture that distinct line of napalm that quickly erupts skyward. All in all, no other movie captures the surreal horror of Vietnam quite like this one.
Smells like victory.
Number 5. The Nuclear Strike, Threads. Here we come to what could reasonably be the scariest non-horror film ever released. A grim Cold War drama, it depicts the apocalyptic aftermath of a nuclear exchange between America and the Soviet Union, focusing in particular on the effects in Great Britain. The bombing sequence is intensely realistic, with on-screen text explaining what's happening and how it affects the general population. The initial energy pulse wipes out electronics, and scenes of total panic ensue as windows are blown out and people gape in terror at the mushroom cloud. It's a waking nightmare, beautifully filmed, terrifically acted, and above all, disturbingly educational. Number 4. Real nuclear explosions, Dr. Strangelove. What could be the most famous condemnation of nuclear war comes not via tragedy but comedy. Stanley Kubrick's satire is widely regarded for its stark but hilarious messaging, and that especially comes across in the brilliantly subversive ending. Vera Lynn's We'll Meet Again plays over various shots of nuclear bombs, the sardonic humour showcasing a terrifying and bleak reality.
We'll meet again. Don't know where. Don't know where.
We say bleak reality because this is footage of real nuclear explosions, taken from the likes of Bikini Atoll, Operation Sandstone, and the Trinity Test. It's one of the most dour endings in movie history, and an enlightening slap in the face following 90 minutes of comedic build-up.
Please say hello to the folks that I know. Tell them I won't be long.
Number 3. The bridge explodes, the bridge on the River Kwai.
What have I done?
David Lean's masterpiece is an adaptation of Pierre Boyer's novel, which frames a fictional narrative around the real Burma Railway. When the titular bridge goes up, however, we're treated to one of the most magnificent visuals you're ever likely to see. In terms of how they shot it, the filmmakers constructed an entire bridge in Sri Lanka for the sole purpose of blowing it up, and blow it up they did. The structure is destroyed in a number of quick bursts, sending grey smoke and wooden shrapnel flying through the air. Best of all is the very real train that goes off the edge, lending a terrific sense of scale and blockbuster drama to the process. Number 2. Tuco and Blondie blow the bridge, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sergio Leone's epic is a dense blend of Western and historical drama, depicting a race for gold in the midst of the American Civil War. And it gets explosive when Tuco and Blondie come across a raging battle which is being fought over a bridge. Realizing that they won't get through the fighting armies, Blondie decides to blow it up, so the fighting will cease. Behind the scenes, engineers in the Spanish army reportedly constructed the bridge and rigged it with explosives, resulting in a terrific blast, and lots of flying wood. And it had to be done twice, as on the first try, the explosion actually destroyed the camera equipment filming it. But the final details are amazing, including the visible shockwave, the splashing water, and the debris that flies in every direction. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Roadside Bomb, The Hurt Locker. One of the best war movies of the 21st century, The Hurt Locker won Kathryn Bigelow her first Oscar for Best Director, and the Academy got it right. She directs the heck out of this movie, including the iconic opening scene where Sergeant Thompson is killed by a roadside bomb. This is the Iraq War, brought to startling life, more of a documentary than a piece of movie making. Dust and debris shoot upwards with the initial blast, the ground expands and ruptures, and rust even shoots off a nearby car. All great details, but the most impressive part is Thompson's death, with the shockwave providing a grisly element of realism. You just don't walk away from explosions like in many of the movies. This is what actually happens. So, what fictional explosion amazed you the most? Let us know in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.